Hello and welcome to this podcast series recorded by me, Ed Langley, Engineering Manager at Witekio, in collaboration with Martin Lesniak, Applications Engineer at ST Microelectronics. This series of 5 podcasts is dedicated to understanding ST's STM32MP1 microprocessor offering. Enjoy!
I see that the STM32MP1 has a Yocto BSP available for it, which is interesting for us at Witekio because we do happen to do quite a lot of work on Linux, on various system on chips from different vendors, including ST. And most of that Linux work nowadays utilizes Yocto BSPs. Are there any specific areas where you would say that the STM32MP1 stands out against chips in a similar class from other vendors when you're running Linux on it?
So I think there's two parts to this. One part would be, the actual delivery, which is kind of unique in the way we approached it. And I'll get into that in a second. The other part of it would be our involvement in the Linux community. So from very early on, we decided to very actively participate within Linux communities. Become a member of the Octo project. Be a member of the OpenAMP initiative, and one of the reasons for that is it gives us a voice into what features should be added to distributions or certain pieces of software. And it gives us the ability to also, give some of our customers a voice as well, and become an influential entity in the development of the inclusion of some of these components. We know that delivery is mainlined, and supported and tested by the Linux community's rules. Which makes it a little bit healthier. And then of course there's our distribution strategy, and we distribute the Linux, our Linux distribution on 3 different tiers, and we do this to kind of allow various levels of expertise out there to start with Linux. So we offer something called a starter package, and that's essentially everything's pre-built. All the user out there has to do is flash the target, whether it's more often than not it's our evaluation platforms. But like I said, everything's pre-built. It becomes a flashing exercise. But the result of that is the user out there gets a Linux machine they can play around with. There's some examples they can exercise, and so on and so forth. Moving up a tier, then you have something called a developers package. And this is where users out there can modify the Linux kernel, all the bootloaders, device trees, anything associated with the boot process, modify to their liking, and create, of course, additional kernel modules depending on the need for those. However, the target file system is pre-built, so they can reuse those efforts. And of course, the developers package, in order to build anything, it does have it offers an SDK with all the build tools and the environment to build against. And of course, there's the final tier, which is a full Yocto build, and we refer to that as a distribution package, and of course that allows full flexibility, custom distribution creation, and full flexibility, and of course the output. One of the potential outputs of a full Yocto build is what we call a developers package, but essentially it's an ESDK. So customers have an ability to do that and use that within the organization if code development is performed by a larger community, which it typically is.
Yeah. Um, regarding the delivery, I must say it is very encouraging when you see the vendor getting very engaged with the community. That's always a good sign, I've found. Definitely.
Yeah, and we also do this to eventually have the community, help us out. So I think it's a pretty good partnership.
Now, I think you mentioned earlier that sometimes you do engage with partners for some software support, and that leads me on to the next question, which is about the Android support. And Witekio does have plenty of experience with the MP1 because we provided the Android support for it on your behalf, as you know. Could you tell us what sort of market feedback you've had on the Android support after 2 years on the market?
Sure. So there's definitely some interest in Android from at least the customers I interact with, and there are a couple projects that I'm currently involved in that are based on our Android solution. In general, I think Android running on an MP1. I think is a good solution for obviously non-smartphone type applications where a customer still wants to take advantage of the Android framework and of course the ecosystem that comes with it. And our distribution does support multimedia playback, wireless connectivity. Again, all the bits and pieces that Android is very good at. So some customers do choose to go that route. Our distribution, which you're well aware of, also comes with lots of code examples. Code examples that exercise some of the same things that we have examples for in the OpenSTLinux side of things, and of course those are available to every customer. As you mentioned, our SD offering was made possible with help from Witekio, and we certainly do appreciate and value all the continued support in that area. Our customers do rely on your expertise, either in embedded Linux projects, but as well as and more so solutions that are based on Android.
Perfect. Well, we are very happy to be of assistance. Martin, thank you very much for talking to us today. It's been a pleasure.
Yep, same here. You're very welcome. Anytime.
That was Running Linux on the STM32MP1, a podcast by Witekio in collaboration with ST Microelectronics. Stay tuned to hear further podcasts from us in the near future on more embedded and IoT topics.